Approximately 200,000 people are affected by homelessness in Canada, which comes with a $7 billion price tag every year. But rather than using money to help these unfortunate people, businesses and companies are choosing to spend their money on anti-homeless spikes. Although it is understood that some members of the government are in support of these spikes, I am of the belief that they are more of a hindrance than a help to society. These spikes being installed are unappealing, unwelcoming, and certainly inhumane. They do not solve any problems, but only create them, and are the opposite of what we should be doing in our world. That is why I, Payton Cabral, have been hired by Bill Briscoe, the communications manager of Rain City Housing in Vancouver, British Columbia. Bill has asked me to share what should and should not be done to all Canadians, and to all others who may be watching this webcast. The anti-homeless spikes have been recently installed outside of buildings in places such as London, England, and Montreal, Quebec, in order to deter homeless people from sleeping in front of their businesses. It can be easily understood by others that businesses do not wish to have their image quote-unquote tarnished by homeless people constantly sleeping in front of their buildings. However, these spikes cause the buildings to look unwelcoming, unpleasant, and even come across as inhumane. If you take a look at these pictures here, you are able to see different types of anti-homeless spikes that have been installed all around the world. In this particular picture, you are able to see steel spikes that have been installed in front of an apartment complex in London, England. As you can see, these spikes are quite large and are made of solid steel, making it practically impossible for someone to sleep or sit in the affected areas. Even people who live in these apartments are outraged by the spikes and have ordered them to be removed, and also making comments such as, "I don't even feel welcomed into my own home anymore when there are spikes at my door." By installing anti-homeless spikes, people are dehumanizing homeless people. The spikes are like pest repellents. They are used to get rid of things that businesses consider to be unwanted. These spikes are not solving any problems that have to do with homelessness, but continue to be inhumane, unwelcoming, and unpleasant. The anti-homeless spikes are also a hindrance to society because they are only causing homeless people to move to other locations. Quote, "Whether you are putting these spikes in place or spreading manure on homeless camps, or your police officers and bylaw officers are issuing fines to homeless people, really you are just pushing the problem around. You are not solving it." Unquote. Tim Richter, head of the Canadian Alliance to End Homelessness. When the spikes are installed, it causes homeless people to find other buildings and places to sleep instead. But just because a problem is no longer visible, it does not mean that it does not exist anymore. Companies must understand that they cannot be selfish and only worry about how much business they are receiving, but instead realize that there are people living in the streets suffering. If businesses are able to spend so much money on installing these anti-homeless spikes, then why can they not use that money to support local charities that focus on homelessness instead? If you take a look at this picture here, you are able to see a homeless man sitting beside the spikes in London, England, with a sign that says, "Homes, not spikes." It is clear that not everyone would prefer that homeless people sleep in front of their stores, homes, apartments, or offices. However, it would make much more sense to move the homeless people completely off the street and into sheltered homes or even houses of their own. People need to realize that installing anti-homeless spikes are only causing more problems rather than solving any. There are many people who do not have homes and are forced to find a place on the street that has not yet been taken over by spikes that sit in front of the buildings, where they could find a seat instead. As I previously mentioned, business owners could be putting money towards local charities that help homeless people, rather than shooing them away by installing anti-homeless spikes. This is exactly what Vancouver, British Columbia has chosen to do. Rain City Housing is a charity whose vision is to have a home for every person. Rather than implementing spikes beside buildings, Rain City has placed benches throughout the streets that bring awareness to their shelters. In these pictures, you are able to see one type of bench that they have designed. This particular bench is designed to open up in order to protect homeless people from rain or snow while they sleep. The other bench that Rain City has created is this design right here. These benches have, this is a bench clearly stated in UV letters during the day, while at night, glow-in-the-dark letters emerge saying, "This is a bedroom," along with their website. The website can be accessed by anyone, either homeless people to find out about long-term help, or non-homeless people to find out how they can help the organization. If business owners took the time to realize that they could be donating money to amazing organizations such as Rain City Housing, rather than using money to install anti-homeless spikes, then the amount of homeless people will begin to finally decrease. It is clearly evident that the anti-homeless spikes have been installed all over the world are unwelcoming, unappealing, inhumane, and completely pointless. What about the safety of others? What about human beings? What about dignity? And what about respect for others? The anti-homeless spikes completely ignore all these things, which can only cause more problems. Businesses need to learn that problems revolving around homelessness will never be solved by pushing them away, but by letting them in and giving them our help. For more information on how to help, visit Rain City Housing by going to www.raincityhousing.org. Once again, the website is www.raincityhousing.org. Thank you.